Hamas is slaughtering humanitarian aid workers in the Gaza Strip. Last night, Johnny Moore, who leads the GHF, that's the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, the organization that's working with the Israelis implementing the new aid distribution center over the last few weeks, released a statement as follows. He wrote, "Tonight, at approximately 10 p.m. Gaza time, a bus carrying more than 24 members of the GHF team, local Palestinians working side by side with our team to deliver critical aid, were brutally attacked by Hamas. At the time of the attack, our team was en route to one of our distribution centers in the area west of Khan Yunis. We are still gathering facts, but what we know is devastating. There are at least 5 fatalities, multiple injuries, and fear that some of our team members may have been taken hostage. This attack did not happen in a vacuum. For days, Hamas has openly threatened our team, our aid workers, and the civilians who receive aid from us. These threats were met with silence." Before we go on, make sure to go into the description of this video below and download the free ebook that is available there. This is a collection of columns that I've published over the course of the last year and a half since the beginning of the October 7th war. It gives you a feel for everything we've been through in this war. So go ahead and download that ebook. And here is how the mainstream media is covering this incident. CNN's headline today, Gaza Humanitarian Foundation says Hamas attack has killed multiple aid workers. Sky News, controversial aid distributor claims Hamas has carried out deadly attack on bus carrying Palestinians. Associated Press, Hamas says it killed 12 Israeli-backed fighters. Israeli-supported group says they were aid workers. So according to these headlines, the story is not that Hamas attacked a busload of humanitarian aid workers. According to these headlines, the story is that there is a claim being made that Hamas attacked these workers, that a controversial distributor of aid is claiming this, that they say that this is what happened. The AP headline even says that Hamas claims that they were killing fighters who were working with the Israelis, and that the Israelis say that they were aid workers. It's just a he said, she said. Now let's compare those headlines to what we saw last week when Hamas claimed that Israel was massacring Gazans coming to get aid. Then we had this CNN reporting 31 dead after Israeli forces opened fire near Gaza Aid Center, Palestinian officials say. And BBC and Sky had similar headlines. The Guardian came in with a real doozy. Quote, Palestinians gunned down while trying to reach food aid site in Gaza, hospital says. Witnesses say Israeli forces opened fire on people near distribution point. And at that time, within CNN's story, they wrote that there was an investigation into a deadly incident near an aid distribution site in southern Gaza that points to the Israeli military opening fire on crowds of Palestinians as they tried to make their way to the fenced enclosure to get food. Now, there is absolutely no evidence that there was ever such a shooting incident, that the Israelis ever opened fire on the crowd. This is all one big lie. And you may have seen that a number of these news outlets had to retract their original stories. Here is Caroline Leavitt, the White House press secretary, responding to a question about the allegations that Israel killed Gazans coming to get aid.
The administration is aware of those reports, and we are currently looking into the veracity of them because, unfortunately, unlike some in the media, we don't take the word of Hamas with total truth. We like to look into it when they speak. Unlike the BBC, who had multiple headlines. They wrote, Israeli tank kills 26, Israeli tank kills 21, Israeli gunfire kills 31, Red Cross says 21 people were killed in an aid incident, and then, oh wait, they had to correct and take down their entire story, saying we reviewed the footage and couldn't find any evidence of anything. Oh. Okay, so we're going to look into reports before we confirm them from this podium or before we take action, and I suggest that journalists who actually care about truth do the same to reduce the amount of misinformation that's going around the globe on this front.
So this is an amazing contrast. Last night's incident where Hamas guns down humanitarian aid workers is reported by world media as a suspicious claim that is being made by this controversial organization, whereas when the fake news story came out last week claiming falsely that Israel had fired on Gazan citizens coming to get aid, it was reported as fact. Now, let's step back for a second. Why on earth would Israel try to prevent Gazans from getting aid from the new distribution centers? Remember, the whole reason that Israel set up this whole new system of aid distribution was to prevent the aid from going to Hamas and encourage the population to leave Hamas-controlled areas to get the aid directly from them. If they started firing on people who were coming to get the aid in the opening days of the program, it would kind of discourage people from coming to get the aid, and the whole program wouldn't work. The whole thing makes no sense. In response to the claims that Israel had opened fire on Gazans coming to get aid, the Israelis released footage that covers the exact time period that it's claimed that they opened fire on people. And they also released an audio of a Gazan talking about who actually was firing on the Gazan civilians, because it has not gone widely reported that Hamas has been trying to prevent Gazans from getting to the aid distribution centers. They need this whole system to fail.
يعني حماس هم اللي قوصوا على الناس؟
طبعا مش أول مرة مش أول مرة بدهم يفشلوا المخطط عشان المساعدات تصير لهم، بدهم يسرقوا، كانوا عايشين على مساعدات، بيع وشغل وفلوس وأكل وشرب لجمعيتهم ولقياداتهم، اليوم أفلسوا نهائي. الناس متفهمة وشافت وكانت مبيتة لأنه شافوا منهم جماعتهم في المنطقة. حتى هم طالبوا، اقول لك لازم المساعدات تخش عبر الامم المتحده عبر المؤسسات الدوليه زي زمان عشان يسرقوها.
والله بعين والله بعين، دول بس قادرين يخربوا ويعطلوا على الناس بدل ما يوافقوا ويعطوا ويساعدوا الناس.
لا والله مجرمين والله مجرمين، والله دواعش. اسمعوا اقسم بالله هذول يا جماعه حيوانات بشريه، مش بشر.
Despite the fact that there is zero evidence that the Israelis have ever opened fire on Gazans coming to get aid, there's actually a Wikipedia page with the title Rafah Aid Distribution Incidents. And the opening lines of the page read, "Since May 27th, hundreds of Palestinians have been killed and wounded by Israeli gunfire as they approached a newly established aid distribution site in Rafah in the Gaza Strip." Now, this is an outright lie, as we've seen, but it's reported as fact on Wikipedia. The page goes on to go into great detail about all of the killings that the Israelis have carried out on Gazans coming to get aid from these sites. And buried deep near the bottom of the Wikipedia page, it mentions that the Israelis claim that this is untrue. It says that the Gaza Humanitarian Fund claimed that this is untrue. The IDF calls the reports false, and then quickly pivots back to the Gazan Health Ministry and hospital officials in Gaza and several witnesses who say that Israel was responsible for the gunfire. Now, the Gazan Health Ministry is Hamas. Hospital officials are Hamas. As you are probably well aware, the hospitals in Gaza are all built by Hamas, and many of them serve as the cover for Hamas command centers. So, of course, the Gazan Health Ministry and the hospital officials are going to say that Israel was responsible for the gunfire. Now, the United Nations used the opportunity of this fake story against the Israelis to jump in and say that the new aid distribution system is unsafe, and we urgently need to go back to the old way of doing things and open up all the crossings and allow humanitarian aid freely. And what they mean by that is that they want to go back to the humanitarian aid going into the hands of UNRWA, which is their arm in the Gaza Strip, which is basically Hamas, and to go right into Hamas's hands so they can continue to charge the Gazans exorbitant prices for aid that is supposed to be free so that they can continue to fund their terror apparatus. That is what is actually going on here. Now, I should point out that near the bottom of this Wikipedia page, it says that the IDF spokesman and U.S. Ambassador to Israel, Mike Huckabee, both say the claims were false. But most of this Wikipedia page, including, most importantly, those opening paragraphs, state as fact that the Israelis have killed hundreds of Palestinians. Now, here's the interesting thing about this Wikipedia page. Most Wikipedia pages are open source. You can go in and edit them. You can add information. You could add other sources. But this Wikipedia page is locked. It is impossible to edit. There's no way to change this page that claims falsely that Israel has killed Gazans at the aid distribution sites. So this is a straight out blood libel against Israel. Look, bottom line is this. The reason all this is happening, the reason Hamas is attacking aid distribution workers, the reason that there are these false claims that Israel is attacking Gazans coming to get aid is to prevent this new aid distribution system from working. Because as long as this aid system works, Hamas is deprived of their cash, they're deprived of their resources, they're deprived of their control over the people, and that is why they are collapsing. Right now, Hamas is panicking because they know the end is near. Hamas is panicking, the world is helping, and this is all about preventing Israel from winning the war.